Hi, I'm George. Have you ever paused to think about what Genesis 1:16 really means when it says God made two great lights? Does this mean the moon is actual source of light like the sun, or is there something deeper that we need to understand here? Let's explore this verse together and see what the original Hebrew and the broader context of the Bible reveal. First, let's read the verse, which says, "And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night." Now, at first glance, it might seem like the moon is being described as a source of light, just like the sun. But is that what the Bible is saying? Let's start by looking at the Hebrew word for light used here. This word refers to a luminary or a body that gives light. But here's the key: it doesn't necessarily mean that the body produces light on its own. It could also mean that it reflects light or simply serves as a light giver in a functional sense. So, does the moon produce light like the sun? We know scientifically that it doesn't. The moon reflects the light of the sun. Could that be what the verse is pointing to? And yes, it does point to that, because the entire verse is addressing and speaking only in a functional sense, not that the moon produces light. Now think about this. Why does the Bible refer to the moon as the light? Is it because of the light it generates, or because of the role it plays in ruling the night? The moon is the brightest object in the night sky, and it dominates the darkness. It's not about the moon producing light, it's about how God ordained it to rule the night. Just as the sun rules the day, the moon governs the night by reflecting the sun's light, and in doing so, it fulfills its purpose. Does this idea fit within the context of Genesis 1? Absolutely. The creation account is all about God bringing order and purpose to the cosmos. The sun and the moon are not just random objects, they are part of God's design to bring light and structure to the day and night. Genesis 1, verse 14 and 15 already introduce the idea that the light in the sky are for signs, seasons, days, and years. They mark time and provide light, but the focus is on their function, not on the nature of light they produce. And how about the broader context of the Bible? The moon is constantly described as a light in the sense of its role, not as a source of light. As we see in Psalms 136:9, which says, "The moon and stars to rule by night." Again, emphasizing its role in governing the night rather than its ability to emit light on its own. This is further supported in the New Testament, where we see in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 41, that the sun has one kind of splendor, the moon another. They are different in glory, when the sun being the source of light and the moon reflecting it. So when Genesis 1:16 speaks of a lesser light ruling the night, it's not telling us that the moon generates the light like the sun. Rather, it is highlighting moon's God-given role in reflecting the sun's light to govern the night. The moon is a light, not because it produces light of its own, but because of what it reflects and the purpose it serves in God's creation. Isn't that a beautiful picture? The moon reflects the light of the sun, just as we, in a spiritual sense, are called to reflect the light of Christ, as mentioned in Matthew 5:14 to 16, which tells us, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." We, like the moon, don't produce our own light. We reflect the light of the Son, Jesus Christ. So when you read Genesis 1:16, remember that it is not about the moon being an independent source of light. It's about the moon fulfilling its role as a ruler of night, reflecting the sun's light, just as we are called to reflect the light of Christ in the darkness of the world. So let me leave you with a question. Will you reflect the light of the Son of God like the moon to be a lesser light in the world where there is darkness?